In this video, we're going to look at Orcs and Goblins Rock Lobber, not to be confused with a rock lobster. This is a war machine for Warhammer Fantasy. So here's what the whole thing's going to look like when it's done. What I've done here is I've put it on a what is this? It's a 100 by 60 millimeter movement tray. So it's just one of the pre-made movement trays, and I filled it in with some holes left for these guys. So you'll see a bit more pictures of that. So just to go over that, this is a piece of illustration board that I've cut to the whole size and then left out a couple squares for the crew. So it's just a thicker Bristol board type of material that's a bit thicker than normal, and glued it in there. Put some sand down with some PVA glue, white glue, and then painted it all scorched brown. So that's what you see here, base coat scorched brown. Now I'm working on the Goblin crew, so I've got Gretchen green base coat, and then pale olive is what I've used for the highlights. And then once that's done, a Thraka green wash will help blend that and tone it down a little bit. Using a different triad here from Reaper. This is just a leaf green triad with a Narlock green base coat, but he's the only orc in this crew, so not going to go into much detail there. Okay, so the main part of this, as you can see, is wood as well as a lot of metal. I found that the metal, doing the base coat of the metal was probably the longest part of this whole model, and that was just with bolt gun metal. But so Be Still Brown was a dry brushed highlight over everything here first, and then it's going to be snakebite leather, bleached bone, and then a wash of Devlin mud. That's how I got the wood, is those colors there over top of a scorched brown base. And so I did those except for the Devlin mud, and then I did the bolt gun metal, and then I gave everything the Devlin mud wash. Then just the metal, the Bada black, and I went over it with chainmail. Now my Goblin army has a lot of red in it, so for that it's just the scab red base coat, blood red highlight, which is what you're seeing there. That's just the scab red, and then blaze orange just to be around some of the edges and sharp folds. And there's the Goblins, and that's after the green wash that I mentioned, so you can see how it brings down the greens a little bit. Now for a rock lobber, there's obviously going to be some rocks, so I'd use the Reaper stone triad, and so just paint everything with the shadowed stone, and then go over some of the raised areas with stone gray, and then just the sharp edges weathered stone. Okay, and there's the red on the bully. Okay, so these guys are basically done. I did a little bit of Bowen triad on their nails. One of the purples there, doesn't really matter which one, and a little bit of leather browns on the other bits of clothing that they have. And there's the colors I used. So scorched brown was the base, and then depending on whether it was the whip, so there's some of them here that are lighter, I highlighted those up to golden blonde. The darker areas, so the regular leather, I just stopped at the amber gold. Okay, and so as I mentioned, the bone triad, so there's a little bit of bone here, his teeth, their nails, that's about it. And that's just the bone triad there. And basically just wrapping up now. There we go. Use the same leathers, the same leather colors for these ropes here and there. Just highlighted up to the lightest color. And there we are, all done. So we'll walk around what it looks like. You can see how these browns here are much brighter than the brown here, and that's just because of the snakebite leather and then the final dry brush of bleached bone. The snakebite leather is a bit more of a yellowy brown than Be Still Brown, and so it stands out. And of course, I probably could have mounted this on a chariot base, maybe something a little smaller. Might have been a bit more advantageous. The new edition of Warhammer Fantasy, less units would be able to charge it. But I think this looks better on the tabletop, and I'm not too worried about it getting charged. And of course, all these guys come out. They just kind of fit in there snugly. There's close-ups of each of the crew. And the bully. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any comments.